Welcome to That Happened Here. In this episode, we're talking about the Willow Green farm and how preservationists don't always win. Willow Green was on what is today Balls Ford Road, just to the west of the no longer existing village of New Market. That village was situated at the crossroads of Sudley and Balls Ford Roads. The property was once owned by John Lee, who was part of a family that migrated to Prince William County from northern New Jersey in the late 1700s. When originally patented in 1725, the estate encompassed 225 acres. Lee also owned other land in the area, including where the famous stone house of the Manassas battlefield would later stand, as well as the farm of James Robinson, a free African-American farmer, also within today's National Battlefield Park. When the unmarried Lee died in 1848, he willed Willow Green to Solomon Clark and William Clark, who were presumably his sons. In 1854, the property was bought by William L. B. Wheeler. Civil War-era maps note his house as the Wheeler House. Wheeler grew corn, wheat, oats, rye, cattle, sheep, and hogs. The original house was thought to be built around 1750. A kitchen wing was added in 1791. The original house was removed, and a new house, not matching the colonial style, was built in 1871. The property also included a stone structure built in 1801 that served primarily as a granary, but may have also housed brandy distillation operations. As the property was adjacent to the Manassas battlefield, the granary served as a refuge for women and children during both battles. Historian Douglas Southall Freemans, who advanced and perpetuated the myths of the lost cause of the Confederacy, suggested that Jefferson Davis viewed the final operations of the Battle of First Manassas from the vantage point of the Wheeler farm. The property eventually became owned by Wheeler's grandson William. In addition to Willow Green, he bought several other farms, including Portici, another major part of the battlefield. He ran a dairy farm on Portici until 1973. Although a lifelong bachelor, in his late 50s, he married Marion Caesar, who had been a career Navy nurse. They bonded over a love of farms and horses and were both heavily involved with the Bull Run Hunt Club. William died in 1980. In 1985, Marion donated $50,000 to the National Park Service to build equestrian barns on the Portici property. But preservationists prevailed against the plan. The Park Service returned her donation. Marion lived until the age of 89, dying in 2003. Historic preservationists immediately began to try to secure the property for the county. However, Marion stated in her will that Willow Green should be torn down. She wrote that, "I realize that this may be an unusual requirement on my part, but I do not want the dwelling where my husband and I spent the happy years of our marriage, and where I have resided since his death, to be desecrated by any commercial or other like use being made of it." The home, the granary, and the 100 acres around it were already under contract to become a planned community of nearly 800 homes, a hotel, shops, and offices. In response, Prince William County filed a lawsuit to block demolition and made saving Willow Green a local crusade. Sean T. Connaughton, the chairman of the Board of County Supervisors, said at the time that, "Basically, it is another piece of Prince William County that could be lost with development. We are going to try to do everything we can to save it." Betty Dooley, the chairman of the Historical Commission, and who the Washington Post identified as an adversary of Wheeler's on preservation, said that just saving the kitchen and the granary is an asset. You just couldn't put a price tag on it. After negotiations, the county dropped its lawsuit in June 2006 because the new property owners were willing to offer alternatives for the preservation of the house and granary. But by the early 2000s, the house and kitchen were torn down and replaced with a tractor supply and a hotel. The granary was spared by being sold to the Eastwood estate in Warrenton. It was taken apart stone by numbered stone and then rebuilt, with every floorboard put back where it was originally. By the time the developer was ready to move forward on the houses, there was no longer any mention of Willow Green or the Wheelers. The project was called Blackburn, after Richard Blackburn, the builder of the historic Ripon Lodge in Woodbridge, who had been involved with the property before the Lee family's arrival. The Blackburn community ironically includes Wheeler Ridge Road and Willow Green Circle. The undeveloped property on the north side of Balls Ford Road is currently owned by a company called Aligned Data Centers. It has been linked to a 1.3 million square foot data center, as well as a distribution center for FedEx.